ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਵਿਕਟੋਰੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਵਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਵੱਧ ਚੜ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਆ। ਤਾਂ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਖਾਸ ਪੇਸ਼ਕਸ਼ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਰੂਬਰੂ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਉਹ ਯੋਗ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਨੇ, ਕੀ ਪਾਲਿਸੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਲੋਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੋਟ ਪਾ ਕੇ ਕੌਂਸਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਟ ਕਰਨ। ਇਸੇ ਸਿਲਸਿਲੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੁਣਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ, ਜੋ ਕਿ ਵਿੰਡਮ ਸਿਟੀ ਕਾਉਂਸਲਸ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੈਫੀ ਵਾਰਡ ਤੋਂ ਕੰਟੈਸਟ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। ਮੈਂ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਹੁਣਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਸ਼ਾਮਲ ਕਰਦਾ ਜੀ। ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜੀ।
ਕੀ ਹਾਲ ਚਾਲ ਨੇ? ਠੀਕ ਠਾਕ ਪੈਸਾ?
ਬਸ ਜੀ ਬਸ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਭਾਜੀ।
ਦੈਟਸ ਗੁੱਡ ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜੀ। ਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਜੀ, ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੈ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਇਹ ਲੋਕਲ ਕਾਉਂਸਲ ਦੀਆਂ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਾਂ ਨੇ, ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਤੇ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਦੋਨਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਾਂਗੇ, ਬਿਕੋਜ਼ ਆਪਣਾ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਵੀ ਵਿੰਡਮ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਾਫੀ ਹੈ। ਤਾਂ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਲੜ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਡੈਫੀਨੇਟਲੀ ਵਾਈਡਰ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਹੈ, they would also like to support you, so they will also like to listen what you have to say. Can you first tell us a little bit about the Windham City Councils and Chaffey Ward?
So look, Windham, Paji, it's one of the fastest growing councils in whole of Australia, not only in Victoria. So we've got 250,000 people who live here, and people from number of other backgrounds across the world who have called Windham home. So Chaffey is mainly, the area is mainly Tarnate, Hoppers Crossing and parts of Werribee. So there is a significant multicultural population, as you mentioned before, and quite a significant population from back in Punjab, from Indian background as well. The area has seen a lot of growth over the past few years, but the infrastructure hasn't been able to cope up. So if someone visits Tarnate, they can see all the roads being dug up, all these new estates coming up. It looks like a concrete jungle. So if you compare west with the eastern suburbs, there is quite a significant difference between both sides of the town.
So, and mainly, if I talk about the Chaffey ward, so what suburbs comes in this ward particularly?
So as I said, Pajit, so it's mainly Tarnate, the whole of Tarnate, Hoppers Crossing, Werribee, Mount Cottrell as well.
Okay.
So it's not like area-wise, it's not the biggest ward. Area-wise, Iramu ward is the biggest. However, density-wise, Chaffey has quite a number of people who live here.
So approximately, if you say like how many votes would be in this area?
Last time there were about 30,000 votes. So let's say it's increased to 40,000 now. So
okay, 40,000. So there are 4 councillors to be elected from this area. So 4 councillors will represent the council from this area. Is that?
Yeah, four from Chaffey, 4 from Harrison, 3 from Iramu. So 11 altogether.
So now we just want to know about you. So what comes in your mind so that you decided to elect for this ward and want to contest for this council elections? What's your past experience, or how you connect yourself to the local councils or local community?
So firstly, look, I've been living in the West for over 15 years now, so more than 10 years from Windham Council. I've been associated with the Liberal Party for about 8 years. So I've done the homework. I've got the knowledge of what different level of governments are, local government, state government, federal level. And I've experienced the people's problem being myself. I'm just a simple man. I'm a regular guy. I've got a regular job. My wife's got a small business as well. We've got 2 young daughters who go to local school as well. And we have seen the area grow for all these number of years. And I believe, look, I've got the passion and the drive and the knowledge and the skills. I can really make a difference in the council if I get elected. Be those skills. Look, I've done masters in accounting as well, so I can review those complex documents. I can review like where the money is going, or perhaps where the money could be spent properly on the services which would benefit the community. With the community works, look, Paji, I've been working for a very long time with the community. I do not promote myself doing all these things or for self-promotion. I don't blow my own trumpet like other people may do. Because community work, community would know more. Most of the time the work's going to be work is unnoticed, what you do, but people would know from their heart. So we've helped a lot of people finding jobs, helping them financially, supporting them emotionally. We did quite a bit of work during bushfires as well. We contribute like wherever we can, Paji. So we've got a group of friends who's made a small group called Helping Humanity. But one thing which council election has taught me is that, look, no matter what community work you're doing, your self promotion is very important. But that's how people come to know. So
Yeah, that's the one of the key point, because I saw many people like who not that active in the community, but actually on the social media, or you see their boards and signs everywhere, so people know them. So sometimes we do notice that some people who do the real work, sometimes they're unnoticed by community because they're too busy in work. So maybe what are you trying to say is you're one of those who are too busy in doing work. And definitely that's the one of the thing is, because sometimes when you are working hard in the community, you don't get the time, or your priority is not to get highlighted. But definitely when you come in the politics or these kind of things, that do make a point. And just say, if he says about the local community, because there's a lot of Indian and Punjabi population in this area, and which is recently grown, because these are new developments. So how you think that you, as you said, you are living in western suburbs for 15 years. So definitely you know the people, and you know what's the problems in the western suburbs are. So if he says to deal with all these things, if you are elected, so you have to work with the local and the federal government, state and federal governments. But as you say that you are a labor member, and as a chairman as well with the local community. So how you connect yourself to the state or federal government as the state representative from that area, from Labour Party, and it's a very safe seat. It's going to be a safe seat for the Labour. So how well you are prepared or comfortable to deal with those kind of situations?
very good question, Paji. So, like being a member of the Liberal Party and the current chairman for the Thane, look, it puts me in a really good position to shirt front like these Labour people who have promised the world, like they haven't delivered anything to the people of the West. As you rightly said, it's a safe Labour seat, and perhaps that's why you can see the continuous neglect at the hands of Labour government for a number of years. They haven't been able to deliver extra parking in Thane, leave aside any nation building infrastructure. And recently, the local member of the state, she announced, firstly, she ran the campaign to have more bus routes. It's pity that the state member of parliament and the Victoria and her own party is in power in the state. They're asking people to sign for the campaign and say, look, we need 2 bus routes. Eventually, okay, the bus routes got approved, like it's going to be in action from next year. I commented on her post, like she ended up deleting it later on. I said, look, realistically, people need 2 new train stations and you jumping upside down, delivering 2 bus routes. Buses are also important like for connectivity purposes, but no one's paying any attention to the growing needs of this area. If the train stations come like 20, 30 years later, like it's no good to the community. So we want those facilities now. I would be like, it would be very, I won't say like it's going to be challenging. It would be very interesting to tackle these state people, because like I don't have any self-interest or anything as such in state labor. And I'll call these people out like for any wrongdoings they have done over the long period of time. And at the same time, Vaji, look, federal Liberal parties in action as well, and some of the policies of the council that there is an overlap with federal. I've got made some really good network. I know, like I've got a good understanding with state and federal. We can get things moving quickly rather than like someone new stepping into the shoes and learning the role of a councillor and how state government and federal governments work. So that puts me in a good position as compared to the other candidates. That's I can say.
Oh, that's great. So that would be one of the, I think, the key policy or key thing you have to work out. And because whenever you comes into politics, definitely you have to work with all the parties and all the politicians. So that's good to see that you're pretty well prepared for that. So as you are with the Liberal Party, so definitely you have experience in that as well. So if you think about the few key issues or few things which you need to fix in the Wyndham, because we spoke about the parkings and other infrastructure. But if you're elected as a councillor from this ward, what would be your first few priorities? If he says first 5 priorities, which you consider, which you would like to do first?
I'll keep it to Paji very few important ones. Yeah. So the whole of world is dealing currently with this pandemic at the moment. So this pandemic has not only cost life, lot many businesses have closed. People have lost their work. Like people are having mental anxieties. The kids are suffering as well. So the very first priority, if I do get into this role, was to work with the other councillors, other 10 councillors, to get a roadmap, a clear roadmap what the council can follow to get the people of Wyndham out of this situation. Once that there is a vaccine and like things get back into normal. How can we get those businesses back into action? Do we need to revamp any of our policies? How can we bring in those festivals where people can get together and celebrate and forget about like the horrid year everyone's been having to date. So those would be on the top of the list. And the other top priority of mine is to audit majority of the 160 plus services which the council has at the moment. Lot many people believe it's only 3 hours, roads, raids, and rubbish, but Wyndham Council provides 160 services. I'm not saying all those services are not providing any benefit, but there would be some which are not delivering the same sort of benefit as you would expect. What sort of analysis have the council or the previous councillors have done so far to analyze the effectiveness of those programs? To review that and to make it more effective, if the money is not being spent properly or if the program's not generating as much benefit, then we perhaps need to divert the funds somewhere else which can bring any sort of benefit to the ratepayers. So basically making sure every single cent of the ratepayers is accounted for. So that's the biggest priority as well after the COVID recovery, obviously. And look, majority of the issues, Paji, they would be common issues. You really can't like pluck out issues from nowhere because people will have problems with the roads, potholes. There would be issues with street lighting, CCTV cameras, libraries, kindergartens. All these things would be common. But what's going to make a real difference is if anyone gets chosen, do they have the guts and the drive and the passion to make sure they can bring forward those motions and get them passed in the council chamber when they're sitting with the other 10 councillors? Can they debate the motions? Can they convince the other 10 councillors to vote for the motions? If someone would have viewed the last few council meetings, there is a clear disconnect, like people can't get into agreement. There are personal egos, personal benefit of some of the councillors self-promoting themselves because the elections were coming up. You would have seen people asking for rate relief without having any sort of numbers in place. So things like those, these are unnecessary motions. Like I would try to convince the other councillors not to waste time on bringing any unnecessary motions, which is not going to benefit the community, but to be realistic and listen to the community and deliver. So I am a man of action. Look, I manage a team at a bank as well. I've been doing it for the last 10 years. And I put in realistic expectations and tell my people how we can reach to those targets and in a specific time frame. So if you send an email to the council now, like asking for a problem to be fixed, sometimes you don't get a response like for weeks, which is not good enough because community wants to see the action happening on ground. And I'll make sure I influence a culture where the actions are met with the work done on ground. So there is quite a bit of work that needs to be done in the current council. I don't know like what team would be chosen, whether I'll be chosen or not, but like I'm willing to work with people from diverse backgrounds. I already do that anyway. So we just need to work as a team because that's more important.
That's great. So that looks like you're pretty well prepared and ready to do the work. So that's great. So because this year campaign is very different from last year's campaigns of the election. So what's the difference you see and how you dealing with this new style of campaign and what you're doing differently so that words get out to the people so that they can support you and vote for you?
Look, it has been very challenging. In normal times, we would have got public gatherings. We would have spoken to people, door knocked, and spoken to them personally. But it's quite challenging as well. Only so 80% of the campaigns done through social media. It doesn't have 100% reach either. You can like send flyers out with the letterboxing, But the people who've got the means and the money, clearly they have the advantage. They can spend more money on social media marketing. They can have more presence. They can do Google ads. But someone like me, like it's every single spent is my money. So like I got to be cautious there as well. I've got a family to manage as well. So I necessarily can't spend that much money doing these campaigns. So I've got a strict budget. I get up in the morning very early, like 6:30. Like I do my work as well, and once that's finished, I focus on my campaign. Like I'm having quite late nights. Majority of the time, like I'm spending with the people on the phone. Like I still get contacted by a number of people for their issues, even though they're not in my ward. Like I'm not saying that I'm not going to help them. So like those issues I'm dealing with side by side as well. Like it could be very exhausting. Sometimes I check my screen time. It is like or the average is about 12 hours. So you can imagine. I'm not getting much time to spend with my family or sleep.
Definitely, yeah.
So
definitely
and the
time.
other,
Yep,
sorry,
sorry.
the other demerit, or you can call it merit for someone, is they can hide behind the fact of social media, because they can spend money to portray themselves that they have been doing a lot by making some professional videos and stuff, and to gauge attention from the public, whereas a simple person can't afford to do that. So the community won't know like what sort of a person they are, because people start judging on social media with the name and the face, because they don't know you. But once they meet you in person, then they can find more about you, and that makes a real big difference, Vaji. So some people with name and fame may have an advantage. As I said, like some people with money and means will have an advantage as well. But all we can do is make the best effort and pray to God, and hopefully the best candidates get chosen.
Definitely, times are tough, and especially this election campaign is tough. And you also have a very tough fight. I think that 25 candidates from this ward, and only 4 councillors going to be elected. So definitely, we would like to wish you good luck for your campaign, and hopefully, you achieve what you want to achieve, and serve the community at your best.
And to that effect, Paji, I made a media announcement today. I've sent an email across to major media houses. So what I have done different is what makes me stand out of the crowd is I'm not making any sort of deals with any candidates. I'm not doing any preference. So I'm leaving it up to the community to decide who the best candidates are. Some candidates will be sending their own how to vote cards with all the numbers filled in as per the order they want the community to vote for. Don't make fool of the community, because we have a democratic process of elections for the community to decide who the best person is, who the number 1 person is, who the number 2 person is, number 3, number 4. Let them decide. Like you don't tell the community who the best person is going to be as per your knowledge. So no shady deals, nothing as such. Everything is in the hand of the community, and they can decide who they want to choose.
Definitely. Thanks for your time. We know you're very busy with the campaigns and all these hard times, because dealing with the people at the moment is very different. Before, as you said, used to be door knock and meeting people physically, going on a train station, shopping center. But now with these COVID restrictions, things are very, very changed. So we would like to wish you good luck again, and best wishes for your election campaign. So hopefully we will talk to you soon and speak to you when you're councillor.
Thank you so much, Paji. Thanks for having me, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you very much.